You now tuned in to the Gumptown Podcast. I'm your boy Doug B. We ain't got nothing to talk about, but we got something to talk about. Let's go. Good people. Welcome back to the Gumptown Podcast, episode 102. I'm your boy Doug B. If you tuned in to this podcast, thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate you giving this podcast a shot. Today's guest is the founder and owner of Able Home Care Services, LLC. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I'm sure we'll all be inspired by his story. Let's chop it up with Lamar Barber. Lamar, how's it going?
It's going well. Thank you to see another day.
Yes, sir, no doubt. First things first, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to chop it up with me a few minutes. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, especially about, some of the things that we're working towards. Able Home Care is more than just a business. It's my lifeblood. It's been years and years of just being able to provide a service for people in their most, in their hour of need, And then, throughout the pandemic, during my travels as a, registered nurse, I've seen the need that has evolved from the pandemic where people were not able to get to their appointments. And that's how Able Non-Emergency Medical Transport Services was born out of that specific need that I was observing, in, this particular region of the United States.
Okay, sounds good, man. And before we appreciate you sharing that tidbit, but before we go into talking about what you got going on in business in depth at Able Home Care Services LLC, let's get to know the man behind the brand. What's your story?
Well, I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. Spent a number of years, growing up in suburban lifestyle. I was born middle class, lived a middle class lifestyle until such a time that, my father and mother, they decided to leave Atlanta at the tender age of 12. And we moved out to Dallas, Texas, or a suburb of Dallas, Texas. During that time, I was immersed in a whole different class of people, different ethnic origin, different in every way that I could imagine. Because if you know anything about Atlanta, it's all about, us and how we supposed to have everything at our fingertips. But when you're placed in a situation where you have to assimilate, there are certain lessons that I learned as a child that I've carried on, throughout my lifetime. So I'm good. And those experiences that were bad, I took those experiences and I made them into something positive in my life. At this point, I am 51 years of age. I live in Fort Deposit, Alabama. I married my wife in 2012, and that's where Able Home Care originated from. The idea was brought forth from my wife. Of course, being a nurse by profession, I had to do my due diligence to explore the opportunity that providing a home care service would afford us. And so with all that being said, after I did my research, we formed the LLC, and 2 years later, we actually started providing services here in the River region through two different organizations that maybe everyone may or may not be aware of. But the first one was South Central Alabama Development Commission, and the other is Central Alabama Agent Consortium. Now, if you're not familiar with those two organizations, they are the providers or the brokers for individuals receiving Medicaid waiver program services. And that is how we began our journey in the healthcare, the privatization of healthcare through the Medicaid waiver program, which allowed us to see and care for individuals who did not have the financial means to actually pay for the services, but that it was state sponsored and allowed us to get into some of the areas that we saw the greatest need in. Montgomery County being one of those areas, but Lowndes County being a greater area of a specific need that we found over the years of providing services. And during our tenure with Medicaid waiver services, we grew our clientele from a few to almost 125 individuals throughout 3 to 4 counties, including Butler, Lowndes, Crenshaw, and Pike counties. We added Montgomery County when we came on board with Central Alabama Aging Consortium. We provided services in those counties as well, and we added on an additional 2 counties with that organization, and that brought us into Montgomery, Autauga, and Elmore counties, and we grew to about 30 to 40 individuals in those areas as well. But then the pandemic came and kind of put us back, and we had to shut down our operations due to the widespread, disease that was being that was affecting us and affecting the people that we service. So with that being said, we had to take a step back, reorganize, and that gave me an opportunity to start traveling as a nurse, which is my profession. Being a registered nurse has given me opportunities to actually see people where they are and to be able to understand that even though you may be in the hospital today, tomorrow you're going to need some help, and family and friends are always there, but they always have to, there are certain situations that they have to go and they have to return back to work. Not everyone has the opportunity to stay at home and work from home. So this is the reason why we continued our efforts to become the provider of choice in the river region, so that we can actually provide a service that people would want and they really deserve to have in their homes. And we're working on programs and processes to actually make it to where people can afford our services, not only from a standpoint of affluence, but to those individuals who cannot and will not ever be able to afford us, because home care at its current state is not part of the healthcare continuum. And if you're not aware of that, Medicare does not pay for home care services. So there's a lot of people being left behind due to the fact that their private insurances won't allow us to bill for the services that they most need and desire. Mm-hmm. And so this is the reason why, home care and non-emergency medical transport services are needed. Mm-hmm. And that's my story, in a nutshell.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you sharing that story. So I want to back up a little bit. I know you said you from Atlanta, ended up moving to Dallas. I've never been to Dallas. I've been to Atlanta several times. What were some of those main cultural differences you noticed between the two cities?
Well, when I went to high school, there were only, in the total high school that I went to, there was 2,000 students, and there was less than 30 individuals of color in that school that I attended. So life lessons were learned. I learned to actually adapt some of my mannerisms. Sorry about that. Some of my mannerisms to conform and to assimilate to their way of thinking. A lot of people don't think that that's something hard to do, but when you're surrounded by people who don't think like you do or act like you do, or even consider you as being an equal, you have to learn how to navigate within those areas of life, and you have to be able to see the value in both sides of the equation. So that's one reason why when I was in high school, I learned to work with everyone, mm-hmm. because there was opportunity to understand how other people, how the others thought. And then there was some Hispanics and some Asians that were attending the school at the same time. But, with that being said, we had opportunities to learn about each other's culture. We had opportunity to discuss things that were not traditionally, spoken about in your average, Black home, mm-hmm. as far as finances, about, being prepared to go into different areas of life. My friend, his name was Nick. When he graduated high school, he was a bum in high school, but he went on to college. Now, mm-hmm. from there, I don't know exactly where he went. I took a different path, and I joined the United States Navy out of high school, and I turned 18 in boot camp. And that gave me another area of evolving my mindset to understand that this is not just a Black and a white thing. This is a global thing. This is a people thing, and people have to learn to work within each other's areas, but at the same time, they have to learn to accept our differences, embrace them, and then push forward beyond those limitations that we place in our lives.
Right.
You know,
Huh?
we can see ourselves, but when we can't see ourselves, talking to individuals who don't share our faith, who don't share our mindset, who don't share anything at all, we have to we have to create opportunities to build bridges, to be able to
Mhm.
get people to understand that this is not just about the color of our skin. It goes deeper than that. It goes about the heart, the need, the compassion, the empathy, everything that makes us human, everything that makes us children of the Most High God, everything that makes us individuals, everything that separates us is just things that we have to be able to talk about in an intelligent manner and come to an understanding that I'm not right and you're not wrong. We can find common ground in any situation, and then we can build from that.
Right. That's amazing, man. Like the fact that you were able to come out of Atlanta, which is black excellence, you're around a lot of
Yeah.
your own all the time. So going to Dallas gave you an opportunity to get exposed to new cultures. And that's cool. Like I think that is what's needed to adapt in this world. And it sounds like moving to Dallas. While at first I know it was a culture shock and you was like, man, I'm accustomed to being around my people all the time. You got a chance to be around other races and learn, like you said, different customs and of the different cultures. That's amazing. That's what it's about because it's more than just us in this world. So it's important to be able to adapt and collaborate with any and everybody.
I agree, and that's one reason why, some of the people that I have dealt with over the years, they're saying, well, don't you realize you're black? And I'm like, is that supposed to be something that I'm supposed to be ashamed of?
Right.
Or is that something that I'm limited, that limits me from the opportunities that anyone else can enjoy?
Right.
And I
Exactly.
said, no, we are all the same under the skin. If I cut you and you cut me, we're gonna bleed red blood. It's not
True.
gonna change the fact that, everything that we have, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it's all the same. Now it's a different perspective based on where you come from and where you're looking to go.
Right. Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. Skin color shouldn't limit you. It shouldn't limit what you have access to, who you collaborate with. And that's what it's all about. So you being an RN, where did you do your schooling at? Undergrad, grad? Where did you do all your college at?
Well, actually, that started here in Alabama because there was a time in my life I really didn't know exactly what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
um, Outside of high school and outside of the military. When I came home, I basically had no marketable skills to speak of. Surprising, right? Everybody say the military is a leg up. I came out just as lost as I could be, but I knew I had this desire to serve people, and the way that started out when I came out of the military, I did a lot of different things. I did food service. I bartended. I waited tables in Atlanta. I went back to Atlanta out of the military. Waited tables. I worked in a county jail as a correctional officer. I've also done, different types of medical work. I became a CNA back in '96. Yeah, back in '96, and I did some working within nursing homes and hospitals during that time, and everybody around me was saying, Lamar, you could be more than this. You could do more than that. I'm like, okay, well, it sounds good, but I'm all right where I am, right now. I'm good. I just need to be able to, cultivate, everything that I'm working with now. But I guess it came around 1996 or '97. I decided to, take on healthcare as a full-time opportunity.
Hmm.
Now, originally, when I was in Atlanta, I was being groomed to be a doctor. I was going to school Monday through Saturday, and that kind of upset me. Being a kid in Atlanta, your friends out playing football in the yard, whenever, and you're having to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go to a school. So that was a difference. That was a difference in how I was raised and what I was deemed to be, worthy of, being in Atlanta. That did expose me to a higher level of, people wanted me to excel in life and not to be left behind. But, when all that disappeared, my desire to be in healthcare or be a physician, it kind of left with it because there was nobody really involved with my education. I just did what I had to do to get out of high school. And I knew that when I got out of the military, I could go back to medical school. But at that point, I just was lost. I didn't have a path forward, no resources to speak of. The GI Bill only pay for so much, but at the same time, the rest of it got to come out your own pocket. And people don't realize that.
Right.
So I decided, I said, well, I like people and I like, serving people. So I decided to go to nursing school. And I started out as an LPN, and I stayed at LPN for about 2 years. As soon as I graduated from that program at Lurleen B. Wallace Community College, which is located down in Opp, Alabama, I graduated from that course of study, and that was in 96 or 9, no, that was 98, 99. Yeah. Graduated from that course of study, and then I stayed at LPN for about 2 or 3 years. When I went back in to get my associate degree at the same school, Lurleen B. Wallace Community College, they had an associate degree nursing program that afforded me to take what I learned as an LPN and apply towards the registered nurse designation. With that being said, I went through that course of study and I graduated in 2008 from that course of study. And then I worked as a registered nurse with an associate degree for a number of years, from like '08 to 2020, about 12, 13 years, give or take. And a close person, a friend of mine, said, Lamar, you be a good, registered nurse. I said, well, I'm already a registered nurse. Said, but do you have your bachelor's degree? And I think, oh, well, the bachelor's degree gonna get you, because the way I look at it, if it ain't dollars, it don't make sense to me, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so I said, I'm going to go back to school and pay for something. I mean, what is it? What's in it for me, right? I got to look at
Right.
the situation, and so she kind of pushed, she pushed and prodded, and then she talked to me, a lot, go back and
Mhm.
get your bachelor's degree. And I can have you come join me and my team, working with the state of Alabama. All right. So I said, okay, well, I said I can stay behind the desk, and just do what I do, and be happy, because the job I was working at that point was within a correctional facility. If anybody's familiar, Kilby Correctional Facility, it's a processing center for all inmates, all male inmates in the state of Alabama. And I worked there for like 2 years.
Okay.
And I
So,
went back to
mhm.
school. Yeah, I went back to school that I got my bachelor's degree, and I graduated from AUM, Auburn University of Montgomery, in 2021. But I
Wow,
know what
man.
you want to ask. You want to ask. Go ahead.
Oh no, no. I'm just saying, wow, man, what a journey. But go ahead though.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that nursing has afforded me a lot of opportunity to see people, and to see people in their best situation, in their worst situation. And the one thing that I take from nursing, from beginning even to this moment, is that there's a need for people to be cared for.
Hmm.
And that's all I want to do. I want to take care of not only the people here in Lowndes County, I want to take care of everyone that comes up under our umbrella. I want to give them a place of safety. I want to give them opportunity to live their best lives, even though people don't realize that nurses see people at their lowest state. I mean, if you look at nursing as a whole, I see individuals when they can't breathe, when they're incontinent of their bowel and bladder, when they're throwing up, when they're running fevers, when they have infections, when they have bed sores, with everything that could go wrong in a person's life, and I'm there to bring them back to health. And that's what I draw from nursing. I think that I made the best career choice possible for me. I can't speak for anybody else because there's a generation of nurses, old and new, that came into this whole nursing thing until with the wrong understanding. You know, People say, "Oh, you're a nurse, you making a lot of money." It's not about the money. It's about the. It's not. It's never been about the money. yeah, I have to pay my bills like everyone else. And yes, nursing has allowed me to, to enjoy my life. But at the same time, this is the work that I have pledged my life. This is the work that I see that humanity needs, no matter where I go. People need assistance. And that's the reason why I do what I do. That's the reason why we started the business. It
Yes, sir.
wasn't because I wanted to be. I mean, the money. If I
Right.
got $20 in the bank and my bills are paid, I'm good.
Right, right. Yeah, no doubt.
You
I
know.
mean, and to be honest with you, if people do have something to say about money, we all do stuff for money. Like that's why we go to work. It's like it's one of those things. It's a byproduct of what you do. You did all that schooling, and when you get to the level of going through nursing school and everything you went through, you earn that right because you're dealing with people's lives. So naturally, I would think even if you're not doing it for the money, you're going to be compensated well just from the nature of work that you're doing. But let's back up a little bit. I know you're saying you're in the military, and first things first, I want to thank you for your service. So, how long did you serve, and what's your most memorable duty station while you were in the military?
I was in the United States Navy from 1989 to 1993. I served in Yokosuka, Japan. I said if I was going to go in the military, I want to get as far away from the States. I want to see different cultures. I want to see people. I want to just immerse myself in culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And during my time of service, I was fortunate enough to go to war during Desert Shield and Desert Storm.
Wow.
And we were on duty in up in Kuwait, and we spent 6 months on scene. Basically, we didn't sleep for 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
and we had the opportunity to see. Now everybody talks about Abu Dhabi and all those United Arab Emirates. This was a time that none of that existed.
Right.
I mean, none of this. Kuwait was not what you see. Abu Dhabi was not what you see on the commercials. Now, this place was like surrounded by desert, and there was nothing, absolutely nothing there. And I was fortunate enough to see, those areas during my duty to, and then to see what it's been transformed to. It's like amazing to me. I did, and then we also had the opportunity to come when we got through, staying on station in Kuwait. We journeyed back, and I had the opportunity to go to Thailand, Singapore, the Philippines, Taiwan, Korea. Also had the opportunity. We almost made it to Australia, but we ended up turning back. I
Mm.
duty, I do change, but we didn't make it to Australia. I really wanted to see Australia, but it wasn't in the cards for us. So we came back, and I went all over Japan. I immersed myself in the culture there. Learned enough to be dangerous as far as the language. you know, got to go to Tokyo, sat at the foot of Mount Fuji, but see, these are the things that made me who I am today. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one reason why I think that, everything that I've been through, even though it's been a great journey.
Right.
I can't, and I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. Just being able to, to meet people where they live, and to understand how they live, and what they're thinking about, and what their concerns are. I think that's what made me the man I am today, because without those experiences, where would I be?
Right. And that's a $1 million question. That's the beauty of going through life and having those experiences. So you had a chance to serve in the military, fight in war, see Singapore, Japan, and all these other places. And you got a chance to see something way bigger than Atlanta, way bigger than Dallas, way bigger than
Yeah,
Montgomery. And that's what travel
yeah,
does. I haven't traveled to the extent that you have, but I have been a few places. And that's the great thing about seeing different cultures, trying different foods, being exposed to different things. So while you were in the military, did you ever try any exotic foods? And if so, I want to hear about it. And like anything outside of the norm,
no,
anything outside of
you don't
chicken.
want to hear about that. I'm talking about, look. Chicken is not it. I'm gonna tell you what something that people would not understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the Philippines. Now, the indigenous, the kingdom, animal kingdom over there is a little bit different than it is here in the South, right?
Hmm.
You know, in the South, people have been known to eat raccoons, possums, squirrels, rabbits, and things of that nature.
Right.
But have you ever had a monkey shish kebab?
No, sir.
But you didn't know it in the monkey. You didn't know. You thought it was chicken.
Right.
But
Wow.
they would kill monkeys and and fry them up,
Wow.
and marinate them jokers. You wouldn't know you were eating a monkey. And then as far as the Japanese cuisine, now they have a mixture of a lot of vegetable based and noodles, different types of noodles, different consistency of noodles, different types of bases that they like we think of ramen, those ramen, the cup of noodle cups that we eat
Hmm.
over here.
Yeah.
But if you eat the real deal Japanese cuisine, I mean, it's nothing like it because they have such a vibrant mix of flavors that I can't even explain it to you. You just have to eat the stuff to understand that this is like, what they have adapted here from different, countries is not authentic. They say it's authentic, but it's not, because if you go to Japan, you go to any one of these other countries that I've traveled to, the food is phenomenal, and you just can't. There's no equal to what's happening over there and what's happening here, because basically, we over here we want three things on our plate: meat, potatoes, and some type of bread,
Right.
right? And that's how we have come into this overwhelming number of people who are not in their best health,
Right.
because if you eat authentic food, clean food, food that actually has nutritional value, that hasn't been boiled out or baked out or fried out, then there's opportunity. That's why you don't see a lot of other cultures, dealing with some of the comorbidities, diseases that we face, as a group. Diabetes being one. There's very few people who are diabetic in other cultures because they eat clean food, and
Right.
people don't understand. This it's a difference in how you eat and what you can eat a ton of food, but if it's the right food, you'll lose weight. But
Right.
if it's wrong, if it's prepared wrong, you'll gain weight and you'll become ill, right?
Right. Right.
So, these are things that I have drawn, I have drawn from, culturally speaking, there's an opportunity for us to have, a lot more when it came down to food and culture and health and well-being. It's all intertwined. It's all together. And you have to look at it, every part of it, and then bring it together in a way that makes sense for not only me, but you.
Yes, sir. Without question, you're definitely right about that. Just in terms of how we eat over here, a lot of stuff we have over here is artificial, and we eat the wrong way. We have a whole bunch of starch and bread and meat on our plate, and when we should have more greens, just as much greens that we have starch. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Those other cultures, and I'm gonna tell you something else, Lamar, that I picked up on, like even eating Chinese food. Even if you go into a Chinese restaurant over here in the States, you never see them eating the stuff that they serving us. They eating noodles, they eating everything but the stuff that they serving us. They're not eating no sesame chicken. So that is eye opening.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and see, people don't realize that if you watch the
Hmm.
people that's supposed to be preparing our food, and like you said, you go to a Chinese restaurant, you would think they'd be, just gorging on the food that they're preparing, but they're not.
Oh,
They're sticking to the diet that they were brought up on.
right,
But yet still we're here and they're frying everything in front of us, you know, and handing it over to us like, oh, you have a good day now.
right,
Mm, it's eye opening to say the least, and I've noticed that myself, but we have to do more, and we have to educate ourselves, more about what it is that we need to be doing for ourselves, in order to gain our health back.
right. Without question, absolutely. So let's talk more
Mm.
about able home care. You pretty much done a great job already breaking down what you do, why you do it. So we can go right into the next portion. So whenever I have entrepreneurs on the platform like yourself, I like to talk about three things: the aha moment, action, and audacity. Take us back to your aha moment when you first had the idea to create Able Home Care Services LLC.
Well, I would say we formed the business in 2012. the aha moment came to me when we actually started providing services in 2014. Because if I have my hands to anything, and anyone who knows me knows that I'm not going to put something together that is not right. I'm not going to involve myself in anything that is put together halfway or just, not correct or, not legal, because there's a lot of people that are starting these services and they have no license, they have no understanding of what it is to have insurance. They don't even know what a bond looks like. And when we started with the waiver program, I would say 2 months into our providing services, we saw that there was this tremendous need. And I'm talking about, it was overwhelming to see the number of people that, and where they lived was even more eye-opening, because you would think in this day and time that there will be people that will have just the basic, necessities of life. And I found that there were a lot of people who just didn't have it. They didn't have clean water. They flushed their toilet and it went through a pipe out the back of the house into the woods. There were people who you thought they had it because they drove this nice car, but when you went back to the house, it was like, oh my God, they had no food. They had no understanding of what it was to be whole. And we went, and I went, and my wife went, and some of the people that we were working with in the early days, we went, and we saw this overwhelming need. And I was like, oh my God, how can one person, how can I, my wife, the people that were working with me at that point, have the, fulfill the need that's out there. There's still places in Alabama, in Montgomery, that you would think would have paved roads. They're still on dirt roads in Montgomery.
Right.
There's still people that are, for lack of a better term, living hand to mouth. And they didn't have the resources necessary to pay for the medicine, let alone buy groceries.
Mm-hmm.
There were people that came from affluence that found themselves on the other side of the rainbow.
Right.
They lost everything, and now they're finding themselves in places that they really, you see this big house, no furniture inside of it.
Right. Wow.
But just because they wanted to keep this ideal that they would do well, but they weren't. They were bad off. And it's not just Black; it was white, it was Hispanics, it was people just, and there was nothing common about it.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Excuse me. There was nothing common about one from the other. It hit every ethnic group.
Right.
It crossed social economic boundaries. It crossed everything. I mean, everything that you could think of that divides us, this crossed every barrier. Everything that you thought divided us, it put us in a place where we said, "Oh my God, this is too much." And so we sought to help the situation out the best way we knew how. And so we took the opportunity to bring in individuals who had now I'm not gonna say a like passion, because my passion may supersede over everybody's at this point, but they were like-minded and they were willing to do this work. And we put in the work, and we made them responsible for caring for people who basically couldn't care for themselves. So that was my aha moment.
Okay, sounds good, man. Just having that passion for people and just seeing how conditions were for a lot of people, wanting to help people who didn't have the necessary, who didn't have the resources and all that good stuff. So in terms of, so the action portion, after having your aha moment, sounds like you jump right into action in terms of coming up with a name and getting started. So you said you were already pretty much doing the business. So the action portion was already in motion already, huh?
Right. Now, some people say able, and they say, "Wait, what is that? I mean, how did you pick able?"
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down day one back in 2012, and I came up with this name, and it was through the inspiration of the Most High God, my Lord and Savior. He said, "You're gonna name this Able," and I said, "Able, okay, that sounds." But then able doesn't mean able to. It's not the ability to. It's not the. It means achieving better living through empowerment. That's what ABLE stands for. We want to empower individuals to care for themselves and to be able to have a knowledge of what they're going through and to let it to guide them through life's challenge. So that's what ABLE really means: achieving better life through empowerment.
Nice, man. That's amazing. That's a great acronym. That is amazing. So you had your idea, you took action on it. That last portion is the thing that connect those two things, audacity. It takes audacity to not only come up with an idea, put action behind it, but to put it out to the world to be praised and or criticized. Who or what gave you that courage, that audacity to actually put Able Home Care out there to the world?
Well, some people may agree or disagree, but if you stay faithful to God, God will stay faithful to you, and you have to be open. And people don't understand what I mean. Some people may understand what I'm saying, some people may not, because we're in different places, spaces in life. But you have to be open, to receive. And through my personal faith journey and through reading the word and understanding and gaining knowledge from what it is that I've been through from a worldly aspect, and then seeing what the spiritual will bring you into. That was the motivating factor for me. That was the thing that brought me out of this situation that I'm currently seeking to reestablish, to go forward with this idea. Because I could have easily said, I just stick with what I know. I'm doing pretty good as a nurse. Needs are being met, but at the same time, how can I look across the street from where I live at and see someone that is in need and not want to help? So that was the reasoning, and that was the audacity. That was the focus that I brought to bringing Able to, out of this, this current world that we living in, and bringing it forward to where the world can understand that it's not about me. It's never been about me. It's never been about my wife. The idea came from him, but at the same time, we had to put action. And my wife told me, there'll be some time that me and her will look at each other like, what in the world did we do?
Right.
you
Right.
know, we could be doing way better than we are, if we just let this go.
Right.
And we had that moment a couple of months ago.
Right.
I mean, just it was crazy, and we paying our bills, we doing what we can. I'm working, day and night, not one job, not two jobs, doing two jobs full time and working a little side hustle, then trying to run the business, and see, that's the thing that people fail to understand. you know they're thinking the day you start business, you're gonna be a millionaire. No,
No.
baby. No, no.
No.
I'm here to tell you, no, it's not gonna be that way. And
Right.
the way that I look at it, yes, I could decide to shut this whole thing down tomorrow. But you know what thing? I'm not, you know. And me and my wife, we sat down and we had to pray. I mean, we had to pray. Oh Lord, we prayed and we said, look, we just saw him. We said, Lord, if this is your will for us, then you got to help us, And
Right.
we had some people that were interested in partnering with us on certain levels, and then they disappeared, because they saw the cost of being in business. See, some people think that you could take $13 in a book of food stamps or EBT card to start a business, right? No. You ain't gonna start it with you ain't gonna start that. And you got to have some credit, and you got to have some understanding of credit. You got to know exactly what it is that you're doing. Your idea may not be the best, or it may be duplicated in the same space.
Right.
I've been through a lot of different courses to learn about business, but at the same time, I had to understand where I stood in this world.
Right. Without question. And like you said, like that's a very key point you just made. You stay faithful to God, he'll stay faithful to you. I definitely believe in that. And that's all the audacity, that's all the courage that you need. And trust me, I definitely understand in terms of when you start something, you don't make money right away. In fact, it may take a year or two or more to even make a profit. But like staying faithful, staying true to what you set out to do, it eventually works out. And it's not always about what you're getting from something. It's about who you're becoming in the midst of your go through. Because what you learn, what I'm learning, I'm sure you learned this too. Like you're even more resilient than you may have even given yourself credit before. Because working as a nurse, making a good living and pouring it into a business and working the business. Like you said, you and your wife, y'all had to pray about not walking away from it. Like, trust me, it would have been the easy thing to just shut down the operation and say, you know what? I'm good over here with my 9 to 5. There's no reason for me to pour into this. But then you have that thing of, well, at least I speak for myself. Then if you shut something down prematurely, I started thinking 30 years, 40 years down the line, I don't want to look back and say, what if I would have kept going? Because you just never know how close you are to getting that big break. So hats off to you for continuing to work at it with Able Home Care Services, man. And just keep going because eventually something's going to work out. Something big is coming your way, man. Much respect to you.
Oh yeah. I do also want to let people know on the podcast, when it does air, we are running a special, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that the special is still intact when this podcast actually goes into publication.
Okay.
August, we're going to offer individuals who need non-emergency medical transport services. If you're in a wheelchair and you need to be transported to your various destinations in Montgomery, we're going to do a round trip for those individuals who call us and schedule an appointment. We're going to run you to and from your destination for $99 round trip.
Wow. That's amazing, man. That is amazing
Yeah.
deal right there. So Able
Right.
Home Care Services, LLC, doing great things like that for the community. And I know great things are coming down the pipeline. So that leads to my next portion, vision. What are your short-term and long-term goals for the business?
Well, I kind of alluded to it, before. Me and my team, we're working on making the home care service and even the non-emergency medical transport service the service of choice for individuals here in the river region. With that being said, we've been working diligently to get our name into different arenas of both the healthcare continuum. We want to build the brand, and we have already established the brand, but we want to build on the brand that we've established, and we want to offer more and more services. So that's why, personally, I'm going back to school to become a certified wound and ostomy continence nurse, so that the individuals who find themselves, in need for that type of service can call upon us to be able to have their private insurance pay for their care. In addition to that, we are working with various transportation brokers to establish a more consistent opportunity to service people who find themselves needing to go to dialysis appointments, because we are a Medicaid net provider. And if you're not familiar with that, Medicaid has a non-emergency transport provider service that, will allow individuals who cannot afford, a private situation to go to their appointments. But it does allow for them to get to their various appointments, whether it be dialysis or to their primary care physician, or to, or just to, anywhere that the program will allow them to go through their voucher system. We also have opportunity to, create a situation where if someone comes into the home care service, we're looking at bundling of services so that, we're not charging one price for one thing and another price for the other thing. We want to have it where you can get the home care and the non-emergency transport services in a bundle. So we're working on that, trying to find a price point that's going to be, affordable. That's the number one thing, because we want people to not only use us, today. We want them to use us, for the rest of their lives. We want to build a relationship with individuals and families that won't be easily broken. So we want to see them, from ages 18 up until 118, if they live that long, to be able to take advantage of the services that we offer here. And we want to also, push beyond the river region. We want to see, this business grow in a way that we'll be able to employ, individuals. We're not talking about just, us or them or anybody else. We want to see people come into the fold and become partners with us, providing these services to where as we grow, they'll grow. We want people that work for us to become into their own level of affluence. We want them to not have to work 2 or 3 jobs. We want everyone to be able to have a good paying job. We want them to be able to have benefits. And that comes about with us, having like-minded individuals come up under our, employment. We want to see people, everybody saying the minimum wage need to be 15. I agree. But until we get to a certain level, we have to be able to be fiscally responsible in this marketplace to where we understand that nothing happens overnight. But if we push forward together with the understanding that this is going to reap a benefit long term, I want to see people making $25 an hour if we can afford it. If the business is doing well, I have no problem, with bringing people out of their situations and saying, hey, you did a good job. We're going to give you a raise.
Right.
You're doing a great job. We're going to give you a raise. We're going to promote you within the organization. We want you to be able to say, I started out as a home care provider, an attendant or a skilled nursing professional, whatever. And I came under Abel's employment, and now I'm a shift leader. I'm a supervisor. I'm, over the non-emergency medical transport. I'm a dispatcher. I'm an administrator. All the titles that bring, that bring people, happiness and affluence. We want to see that happen, not only within our own ethnic group, but wherever we find ourselves growing to. We want to see that. We want to have everyone to be able to enjoy life. We want to see people with 2 weeks paid vacation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And not have to worry about being called while they're on vacation. So it's a lot of things that we're aspiring to, but at the same time we have to be responsible in what it is we're doing now, and partnerships are key to that. We want to partner with individuals who want to see us do greater things. In addition to that, there was a period in our business that we were looking at becoming a nonprofit. I've started the groundwork for that as well. But in order for us to be able to become the nonprofit of choice, we have to have people that will really want to do this work. But I would rather see the home care service, survive and thrive, and then bring the nonprofit aspect into bear, because I know there's a greater number of people who will benefit from the nonprofit than they would from the for-profit organization that we currently are. So we want to cover all, both sides of the equation. We want to be a for-profit and a nonprofit. We want to see people near and far, be able to reap the benefits of what we have to offer. We do have a website. If anybody's interested in looking at it, our website address is www.ableInhome.com, and that's ABLEINHOME.com. Check us out on the web, and our site is ever evolving, and if there's something that we have not, initiated, if you have an idea on what we could do to make things better within the communities that we serve, we have open, we have an open phone line. Our phone number is 334-612-7252. You can call anytime, during the week, unless there's an emergency, and then you can call on the weekends as well. But we want to be able to provide our services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to whomever needs that service.
Yes, sir. And of course, I'll put the website as well as the social media handles in the description of the episode. And those some great short-term and long-term goals. I have no doubt you'll make them all come to fruition. And before I get you out of here, I want to ask $1,000,000 question. I started this podcast to highlight the greatness connected with Montgomery. Whether you were born here or lived here for a significant period of your life, be it college, military, or work, you being here by way of the business and the work you're doing as an RN. I want to ask you, Lamar, what do you appreciate the most about the Gump?
The Gump has unlimited opportunities. I mean, it's too much if you really look at Montgomery, we have an opportunity not only to grow but to thrive. We could be the center of, I hate to say it, but why can't Montgomery be the center of all things cultural, all things, financial? We don't have to look to New York. We don't have to look to Atlanta. There's enough potential in this state, in Montgomery, to bring all the things that people have wanted and needed and desired to come to pass. But we just have to be led, and there's no one person that can do that. We all have a part to play in the development of Montgomery, the west side, the east side, the south side, the north side. There's unlimited potential in Montgomery, but we have to come together in a way that makes sense. Montgomery is on the verge of greatness, but people just have to understand we got to do the work. No one's going to do it for us. It's
Right,
got to be
without question.
done.
Mm-hmm. Right, without question. And you hit the nail on the head. We have a potential for growth in all these other places we run to. We can be that. And it starts with people like yourself and other entrepreneurs in the city that are providing those services that our people typically go elsewhere to get. And that's great. And like, I'm glad you touched on that. Hey, Lamar, I appreciate you, man. I thank you again for this conversation. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day, man.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, just to, share some of my wisdom and some of my, experiences, throughout life. And I hope that anything that I have said during this will touch someone in a way to help them to grow, because life is not a sprint, it's a journey. And I'm enjoying my journey every day.
Yes, sir, without a question. Good people, that concludes another dope episode of the Gumptown Podcast. In the meantime, in between time, y'all know what to do. Be blessed, be safe, but most importantly, have the audacity to be you. Go on. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate your time and your attention. Until next time.